Jem is my name, no one else is the same. Jem is my name. Jem.
So the episode starts out with Jem and the Holograms playing a concert that is titled, if the handmade-looking sign strung between two trees out front is to be believed, it's called Musicians Against Intellectual Poverty. So, musicians against stupid people? What? Is that actually the official name of this concert, or did someone just hang up that sign to be silly? 'Cause what? Anyway, hey, Jem, I like the updo. Looks nice. So, Jem and the Holograms are playing a tribute to 50s era rock and roll, and they cover a particular song that was a staple of 50s rock and roll. And the audience, not an actual real song, one written for the show, but in the universe of Jem, this song is a known 50s hit, and they cover it, and the audience loved it, except some old guy who's, boo, you suck. You know, can't please everybody. You try. I try. But, you know, the odds that you're going to please everybody, not so good. Not so good. So they're in their dressing room. The guy barges in. This is like, I insist to let you know that you suck. You suck so bad. Playing 50s rock and roll with synthesizers and electric guitars. Phooey. Humbug. Harumph. Should be played with acoustic. Like God intended. So it turns out that this guy is actually Bobby Husawatsi from Bobby and the Tornadoes, who were the 50s group who popularized the song in the first place. So he takes the Holograms back to his digs, which is a rundown tenement building somewhere. And turns out some ne'er-do-well bought that building and others on the street to knock it down to build some commercial building. Gee, who could that ne'er-do-well be? Could it be Eric Bad Guy? Yes, it's Eric Bad Guy. Who's now driving down the street in a crane with a wrecking ball attached, and who is accompanying him in the cab of the crane with the attached wrecking ball but the Misfits? Eric, buddy, Broseph, what are you thinking? Do not put the Misfits anywhere near the controls of a wrecking ball. No good can come from this. No good whatsoever. No good comes from this. No good whatsoever. Because, Pizzazz grabs the controls, and Eric's like, no, there's people in that building! And she knocks off a piece of a fire escape, and then crushes some meter-maid cart, and then somehow manages to screw it up so badly that the wrecking ball comes back towards the cab of the crane, and they all have to jump out so they don't die. Eric, my man, buddy, dude, Broseph, what did you think was gonna happen? So the meter maid whose go-kart was crushed writes him a ticket. I think Eric will learn his lesson now, don't you? Luckily no one died this time. So, the idea is Eric bought all the property, wants to knock it all down so he can build a record manufacturing studio so he can manufacture records. Because why wouldn't you? So the crux of the episode is we have to outmaneuver Eric Bad Guy so that he doesn't knock down this tenement building where people actually live, and there's like a small museum of 50s rock memorabilia, courtesy of Bobby Tornado's past exploits. And so it goes back and forth with Eric has two new goons. I guess Zipper's still in jail. So he has Bebop and Rocksteady. It's actually Torch and it's not Susan. Is it Mickey? Might be Mickey. Torch and Mickey. And Torch is a man of many words, all of them sounding like. So, yeah. Very, very, very personable guy. So, one of the bad guys, Mickey, I guess, the sailor-looking dude. Oh, by the way, hey, Eric, he's lounging on his yacht, with a button shirt open, just taking up some sun, and gotta say, man, keeping trim. Well done. So the bad guys are like sabotaging the building and cutting the power lines, and one of them falls towards the holograms and Bobby, who are walking back to the building. And Aja says, "That must be one of Eric bad guys' bad guys. Get him!"
Look, he's one of Eric's goons. Let's get him!
They run after him. It's like, let's get that son of a gun. But he runs away. So Kimber goes to the Hall of Records and finds out that the building is a residential zone, which is not too surprising, being that it's a tenement building where people live. Don't know if that needed 8 hours of research at the Hall of Records. I mean, generally you would think that apartment buildings are in an area zoned for residential, but crazier things have happened, I suppose. But Eric, bad guy, just bribed some city council dude to rezone it as commercial so he could knock down the building. So Eric, in his infinite wisdom, gets a bulldozer and 3 more bulldozers, one for each misfit, to go after the building. And so the holograms and Bobby are standing out front. "No, if you want to knock over this building, you'll have to drive through us." And a bunch of other people, mostly the people who live in the building, are standing out front, but some others too, who saw a documentary that JEM made about that building and its place in the history of rock and roll. So a bunch of people are like, "Wow, I wonder if we can do something." And really all they could think to do is stand in front of bulldozers, which Eric and the Misfits don't really seem that put off by the idea of running people over to knock down a building with a bulldozer. But Kimber runs up and goes, "Wait! If you knock down this building, it'll be illegal!" And she holds up an official piece of paper that has declared this building a historical site because of the museum that Bobby keeps in there. So it can't be knocked down. That would be illegal. You could maybe point out that running people over with a bulldozer would also be illegal, but the whole knocking down a historic landmark, that's enough to get Eric bad guy to turn around. Running people over with a bulldozer, not so much. But, don't want to be knocking down any historical landmarks. That would be bad. So the show wraps up with JEM and the Holograms and Bobby Tornado doing collaborating for a new rock number. And it's pretty good. It's really interesting to see. This is, we're in episode 21 or something here. And this is the first episode to have a song with a male vocal in it, which is really neat, hearing a male voice with JEM and the Holograms.
It's traditional to say, do away with the old.
It's traditional to say, make way for the new.
But I say, let's not forget the past, baby. Let's not forget where we came from.
I would have liked a bit more swapping the lead between Bobby and JEM. They start out the song, JEM takes a line, and then Bobby takes a line, and then the rest of it's a duet. I would have liked to see more lead switching there, but it's still it's a nice song, and it's, again, really cool to hear male vocals in the singing, so yay. And this is the first episode since, I don't know, Broadway magic or so, the last 5 or 6 episodes that we're back to 3 songs. Episode lengthwise still comes up a little short. They encore 2 of the songs from this episode, and there's another PSA, which interestingly breaks from the format of the previous ones. I was talking about the PSAs being neat because the kids figure out what's wrong and how to solve it, and then JEM or whoever shows up to bolster and reinforce that. This is the first one I've seen where the kids go, "Oh, a down power line, let's grab it." And JEM goes, "No, don't do that. You could get shocked." And they're like, "Oh, now we know not to touch the down power lines. Woot." So, I like the old format better. But anyway, we are in the last stretch for this season. Got like maybe 5 more episodes. I'm on the last DVD. So, I'm excited to see where this season of JEM concludes.
We won! We won! Congratulations!